Warning: please drink responsibly and use proper safety measures when using an open flame indoors. First ingredient today is safety. We have a fire extinguisher in case the alcohol and fire get out of control. We're going to start off by lighting our smoker. I have had a few cocktails at this point, and using the flamethrower seemed way cooler than using paper. So we're going to use the flamethrower to light our charcoal. Go ahead and dump your lit coals in the smoker. Close the lid and set your intakes and bring her up to temp. Okay, we're going to be using some unorthodox ingredients. I have a plank of wood that will act as a protector for our cutting board. Then we have several chunks of wood. First, we have cherry, then oak, and hickory. Then we have charcoal, which we will use later. Set these aside for now, and we'll place our wood plank on our cutting board. Set up a chunk of cherry wood, and using a torch, we are going to light it. To the side here, I have a water carafe with a lid. So once you get this lit to the point that it sustains a flame, you can then place your carafe upside down over the wood. Now the smoke wasn't really thick enough here, and because we want it to be opaque, go ahead and light the stick again and place the jar on top. And as you can see, the smoke compounds and fills the carafe completely. Now we're going to take a whiskey glass, and today we're using bourbon. We are going to measure out 2 ounces. I don't have a jigger. Apparently I lost that in the divorce, but we are pouring the measured bourbon into the glass. After that, we're going to add a ½ ounce of sweet vermouth. We are making a smoked Manhattan. Add the vermouth to the bourbon. And a couple of dashes of Angostura. We are going to unseal our carafe and quickly dump our cocktail into the carafe and replace the lid. We're going to let that sit for a second, then we're going to give it a swirl or two and let it sit some more. And while that's sitting, we're going to go ahead and place our ice in the glass. Give the cocktail a few more swirls, and then after you feel like the smoke is infused into the drink, go ahead and pour it over the ice. Some of the smoke will follow the liquid and fill the glass. It'll give you a nice smoky effect. We're going to add 1 bourbon-soaked cherry to the drink. Give that just a little stir, a little swirl, and cheers. Next up, we're going to do a drink similar to this, but in a slightly different manner. We are making a smoked old-fashioned. Go ahead and light your piece of wood, and this time we're going to place a much larger carafe over the stick. And since this is a larger container, again, we're going to have to light the wood a couple times until the container is full of smoke. Be careful here not to burn down the house. And once your carafe is full of smoke, we're going to add 1 cube of brown sugar. And then we're going to add 3 to 4 dashes of orange Ango. Then to this, we're going to add 2 ounces of bourbon. and gently place the ice into the glass. Give it a stir to combine. I do not have a cocktail spoon as it seems to have accompanied the jigger. Now pare off a slice of orange peel and gently squeeze the oils into the glass. Then place the peel in the glass. Place your smoke-filled carafe over the top of the glass and let it sit for 5 minutes. Okay, after 5 minutes, the smoke should have infused into the glass, and the ice will keep the smoke cool so that the smoke settles into the glass. All right, for our next technique, we're going to smoke our ingredients that go into the cocktails. Here, we are putting some orange peels onto a metal rack that we will place in the smoker. Here, we are laying out some cinnamon sticks. And next up is sun-dried tomatoes. Needles up. The smoker is up to temp and we're going to add some wood chunks and replace the grates. Place the rack into the smoker and close the lid and set the timer for 20 minutes. At this point, it's a little hazy, but apparently the practice cocktails got the best of me. I don't really remember much, but I did wake up wearing my apron and all the lights in the house were on. It's now the next day and it appears that our ingredients are done. Well done, in fact. Alright, let's hit the reset button and try this again. Fill up your chimney, light the charcoal, pour into the smoker, replace the lid and wait for it to come up to temp. While we wait for that to come up to temp, we're going to peel some more oranges and lay them out. Then we'll lay out some sun-dried tomatoes, and after that, we're going to slice an orange to throw in the smoker. This would be great muddled into an old-fashioned. If you notice, this time around, I do not use cinnamon sticks as they are made of wood and they held up nicely despite the overnight smoke. Once you have that prepared, it's time to head to the smoker. Dew has settled on my temp gauge, but it is up to temp. Go ahead and throw in your wood, replace your grate, close the lid, and set your timer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you'll remove the orange peels, and then the rest of the ingredients will go in for another 30 minutes. Here we have our orange peels, but I've already used some of them in a few practice cocktails. The orange slices caramelized very nicely. I can't wait to use these. And our tomatoes, if you notice, are not terribly crispy. They're still pliable. This is good as we will be chopping them up later. Okay, let's start our cocktails. First, we're going to add 2 cups of apple cider to a medium saucepan over medium-high heat. To that, we're going to add 1 smoked cinnamon stick and let that come up to a boil. Not many people know this, but cinnamon sticks will always point north when floating in a liquid. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding, but it sounded cool. Now, we'll set that aside while we dump 4 ounces of bourbon into a coffee mug and then add 1 cup of the apple cider to the mug. Now we're going to add 1 of our smoked orange peels, and then we're going to take 1 of our smoked cinnamon sticks and give it a stir. Then use that as a garnish. This drink is great on cold winter nights or for sitting in front of the fireplace. And now to cure our hangover. We are going to construct a Bloody Mary using bourbon, or as they are also known, a Bloody Mary Ann. So, to our food processor, we are adding 3 of our sun-dried tomatoes. And to that, we're going to add approximately 1 to 1.5 cups of Bloody Mary mix. Your favorite brand will do. To that, we're going to add a couple dashes of Worcestershire. And then we're going to add a couple dashes of your favorite hot sauce. Then we'll add approximately 1 teaspoon of barbecue sauce. That will complement the smoky flavors nicely. Then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of prepared horseradish. This will give it a nice kick that will tingle your nose. Okay, lastly we're going to add the juice of 1/2 of a lemon. Go ahead and put the lid on and combine those ingredients until well blended. A blender would work better for this, but if you don't have one, this would work fine. Into our glass, we're going to add 4 ounces of bourbon, and then we're going to top that off with our concoction. Go ahead and fill up the glass the rest of the way. After you dump that, we're going to take a barbecue skewer and give it a quick stir, leaving the skewer in the glass. We're going to garnish it with a barbecued rib, and we don't want that rib to get lonely, so we're going to add a little surf to the turf with a nice steamed shrimp. And on top of that, we're going to add a couple of Italian gobstoppers just to finish it off. Another option here would be to rim your glass. You could use your favorite barbecue rub on the rim, but I like mine just like this. Cheers. Alright, moving on. Next we're going to do something a little tricky here. We're going to use an ice ball form. And here is ours. The form has been in the freezer for approximately 4 hours. I'm taking a red hot skewer heated on the stove and melting a hole into the ice. Then I'm going to drain the water from the ball, leaving an ice shell. Alright, return that to the freezer and we're going to bring out our bee smoker. You could use a cocktail smoker for this, but they cost around $100. I picked this up for about $15 at my local hobby shop. It has a grate in the bottom for your charcoal, so go ahead and drop in your charcoal and use your torch to light it. And once our charcoal is burning thoroughly, we're going to place our wood mixture into the smoker, then replace the lid. Give it a couple of puffs and take it outside so it doesn't smoke up the house. Here we have a metal funnel used for filling a flask. We're going to use that with the smoker in a minute. Alright, fill your glass with approximately 2 ounces of bourbon. I should have measured that, but it's getting a little sloppy at this point, so it's okay. Gonna take out our bee smoker and using the funnel, insert it into the ice ball and giving the smoker a few puffs, funnel the smoke into the ice. My apologies for not capturing that on camera. I was not thinking clearly at this point. Okay, return our smoke-filled ball to its container and take the smoker outside. Gently place your ice in the bourbon and then using some sort of blunt instrument, give the ice a couple of taps until you shatter the ice ball. And watch as the smoke gently fills your glass. Thank you for joining us today in the Pig and Whiskey Test Kitchen. Hope to see you next time. Find our recipes in the description box below. And don't forget, subscribe.